Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for being with us today. Greetings. I'm Caroline Blair. I am the morning news anchor with Spectrum News 1 here in North Carolina. I am your moderator today for this very, very important, and I have to say, a pretty timely discussion that can help you and your loved ones steer clear from holiday and investment scams that could really make a big bah humbug on your holiday season. It's been a really long year. This certainly has been marked by COVID-19. We've all been impacted in some way, shape, or form. But the holiday season is upon us. It's a time to celebrate. It's a time for joy and excitement. It's a time for a lot of shopping. I know we do a lot of that in my family, whether it be at the favorite mall down the street, or nowadays, a lot of us turning to do that online. And it's also a time when many of us maybe ponder our own financial picture, where we stand today, what our savings and investment goals are, and plan for the future. Unfortunately, the holidays are also a time for scammers. They seek to line their own pockets with our hard-earned money. And there are a number of ways that these con artists are targeting us during the holiday season. And many of them revolve around online shopping, something we're all really doing nowadays. So we are here to talk about that and to help you out today. And we are also going to be looking at some warning signs for investment and charity scams with advice from some of the region's top fraud fighters, from the Secretary of State's office, the Better Business Bureau, the Securities and Exchange Commission, the Federal Trade Commission, and the AARP Fraud Watch Network. Now, the big part about all of this, for those of you who are watching this today and you have some questions, it's pretty rare where we have all the experts here and you're not just listening, but you actually get to ask your own questions. If you have those during this program, please type them into the comments section there on Facebook, and we're going to try our best to answer them. And also, you want to have lots of pieces of pen and paper here, because I'm not just monitoring this, I'm taking notes myself. I'm learning as well. So we want you too to grab a pen and piece of paper, your laptop, your MacBook, your iPad, your cell phone. We want you to jot down some really important websites, some really good contact information and numbers that we're going to provide you today. And we also ask that you share this program with your family and your friends so that everyone can learn more about fighting fraud during the holidays and all year long. All right, we are going to get things started today with a very esteemed panel, and I'm going to start by introducing each of them. And we are going to begin today with North Carolina Secretary of State Elaine Marshall. We are so happy to have her with us, who in 1996 became the first woman ever elected to statewide executive branch office here in North Carolina. She also has served as the president of the National Association of Secretaries of State, a former teacher, small business owner, and private practice attorney. Secretary Marshall was elected to the North Carolina Senate before rising to statewide office. And under her administration, she says more than 1.5 million businesses have been formed. She's pioneered e-commerce in government, protected investors and intellectual property owners, and promoted financial capital formation in North Carolina. We are also welcoming in as a panelist today Anna Burns, Regional Director for the Southeast Region of the Federal Trade Commission. Among the many responsibilities of the FTC is protecting consumers by stopping unfair, deceptive, or fraudulent practices in the marketplace. The FTC conducts investigations, sues companies and people it says violates the law, develops rules to ensure a vibrant marketplace, and educates consumers and businesses about their rights and their responsibilities. And the FTC also collects reports on hundreds of issues of data security and deceptive advertising to identify theft and do not call violations, and makes them available to law enforcement agencies worldwide. I know we all have been dealing with a lot of those calls lately. Our next panelist is Ray Palacio, Securities Compliance Examiner at the Securities and Exchange Commission. After much success in examining broker-dealers in Florida, Ray was ultimately promoted to an examination manager position at the FINRA's Atlanta office. And in 2015, he joined the SEC as a compliance examiner with the Atlanta regional office. in order to expand his regulatory experience into examining investment advisory businesses. And then he has also been a certified fraud examiner since 2012. We welcome Ray to the panel. Up next, a woman that I work with quite often, Alyssa Parker, Director of Communications with the Better Business Bureau, where she oversees all marketing and communications efforts for the organization with the focus of promoting the BBB's mission of advancing trust in the marketplace. And finally, representing the AAP Fraud Watch Network, someone you may have seen on Spectrum News 1 this morning, as a matter of fact, talking about fraud and holiday scams. Michael Linder, the director of AAP North Carolina. The AARP Fraud Watch Network is designed to provide both national and local information to help empower you and to help empower your family and your friends in the fight against scams. They do a lot of work with fraud as well. And you can find lots of useful resources and even sign up to get bi-weekly fraud alerts delivered to you by email or by text. Now, again, I mentioned this is all about you watching from home or work. We want to hear from you, but I am going to give you a chance to maybe get your thoughts together, come up with some questions, make sure you pose them here so we can see them. And I have some questions myself. I'm going to get the ball rolling with maybe a question or two for each of our guests, each of our panelists. And again, we want to hear from you, so we'll be getting to your questions very shortly. And I would like to start off today, if it's all right, with Secretary Elaine Marshall. Madam Secretary, my first question, why does it seem that so many scams flourish around the holidays?
Well, first off, thanks for having this wonderful, wonderful seminar today. The crooks out there know our habits. They know that we tend to be a bit more generous during the holiday season. They also know that people tend to let their guard down and maybe not recognize the signs of giving scams. There are some people out there that feel in a financial pinch themselves around the holidays. They see a lot of joy and a lot of present giving, and they think, I can't do that because I've had an especially challenging year and a half. And that could make them more inclined to take on risky investments from a scammer, something guaranteeing high returns, which just don't happen. As North Carolina Secretary of State, I'm the cop on the beat for regulating securities and protecting investors. My agency's security division protects the state's investing public through registration, regulation, and most importantly, through education. By the way, crooks absolutely know that North Carolina is a fine place and it's a destination for retirees. So seniors are a major target for scam artists. Now, there are many reasons for that, but the biggest single reason is that they know that seniors generally have more money. They have it in savings and retirement accounts. But here's the point. You don't have to have a big nest egg to be targeted. Your regular Social Security check could be enough to attract the con artist's attention. So don't think that you're excluded because you think, I don't have a lot of money in the bank.
Oh, great answer. I'd love to stay with you for one more question, if that's okay, because you're talking
Sure.
about retirees and our money and what we work our whole lives to save. How do investors protect themselves from scams?
That's the most important question we can be talking about today. The first step is to spot them and then stop them by speaking out. There are circles of silence, cones of silence that con artists try to build around their scams. We have a great investor education team that holds community workshops and have mostly been virtual over the past year and a half. We also put out an electronic newsletter with information that the public needs to know. Having good information and a healthy dose of skepticism are essential in fighting fraud. So ask before you invest. Please don't believe in secrets. If somebody's touting this is really a top secret investment and they claim that other investment advisors and brokers don't know about it, put your hand over your wallet or your checkbook and don't walk, run. Remember, if a deal sounds too good to be true, it probably is. We always like to say, check before you write one. That means call our investor hotline at 1-800-688-4688 4507. I'm going to say that again, 1-800-668-4507 to check on that person asking you to make an investment offer before you give them any money. Our securities division staff can tell you if the person promoting the investment is registered to sell securities in North Carolina, and just as important, if that product is registered, because both of those things have to happen before it's a legitimate offering in North Carolina. I would add that holiday family gatherings may be a good time to talk about providing your investment firm, the person that's handling your stuff, with a trusted contact. That is somebody they can contact when a suspicious activity regarding your account is happening and the firm can't reach you. When you authorize one or more trusted contacts, they will not have the authority to manage your account or execute transactions in that account. But it does give you a layer of security on your investment accounts when you're not available to communicate with your financial firm.
Always important to have those layers. Secretary Marshall, thank you so much for answering those questions. Up next, I think I'm going to turn to Anna Burns for our next question with the FTC. Anna, you may be able to help answer this one. Online shopping, most certainly, has been growing in popularity. I would beg to say if you're on Facebook right now, you probably do a little bit of online shopping. And as a result of this ongoing pandemic, more and more people are doing it. What do people need to be on the lookout for when we head online and we're wanting to use our credit cards and do some online shopping?
Sure. Thanks, Caroline. Well, COVID has certainly opened the door for scammers to double down on their bad practices. And this includes scammers who are looking to prey on people who are shopping online. So during this holiday season, with supply shortages ongoing, scammers are going to try to do their best to separate you from your money. So here are a few tips to look out for. First, know who you're shopping with. Scammers are sophisticated. They have sophisticated websites that often look legitimate. So before you purchase anything online, go to your search browser, type in the name of the company that you think that you're shopping for or shopping with complaint or review or scam, and see what pops up. It's not enough to trust those reviews that you see at the bottom of their website, because those reviews are often fake and you don't know if they're from people who have actual experiences with those companies. You can also go to the BBB scam tracker to see if anything pops up there as well. And also trust your gut. If the seller has deeply discounted prices for something that just seems too good to be true, it probably is. I certainly have had my own experiences shopping online where things seem too good to be true. My son wants a very hard to find Lego set for the holidays. And when I was shopping online the other day, I was definitely drawn to some of those discounted prices I saw. But when I saw something that was a half price set, I had to have that gut check, take a moment and step back and realize that it was likely not a legitimate site. Also look at the terms of sale. Make sure you know what you're buying. Read the description carefully. Make sure that you understand what the shipping costs are, what the sales taxes are that you're going to pay, and any other additional charges. Make sure you understand what the product is that you're actually buying. And when you do buy it, pay with a credit card. There are laws that protect you when you pay with a credit card, so you don't have to pay for things that you don't ever get. And remember that there are laws, as I said earlier, that protect you. So the Federal Trade Commission enforces something called the Mail Internet Telephone order merchandise rule, and it has protections for shopping online, including shipping dates. If the seller promises that they will ship you something and there's not a promised time, they have to ship it to you within 30 days. And that starts the clock as soon as they get your name, address, and payment. If the seller can't make it within this promised shipping time, they have to inform you of that and give you the opportunity to either cancel your order or agree to the delay. So know your rights. And if you do become victim of a scam, please report it to reportfraud.ftc.gov.
I'm frantically over here taking notes on all of this. This is some really fabulous information. Anna, thank you so much for that. Ray Palacios with the SEC, I'd like to pose a question to you. Social media, the internet are being used to promote initial coin offerings or ICOs. That's something that I think a lot of us are hearing about. Not everyone quite understands what they are. What should investors be looking out for when considering an investment opportunity involving the digital assets that are out there?
Yes, before I begin, I am required to say the same thing that many who have possibly attended this before have heard from an SEC employee. The views I express here today are my own and do not necessarily represent the views of the Commission and or its staff. Before I get into that, answering your question, for those that don't know, one of the SEC's primary functions is to protect U.S. investors. Our office is located in Atlanta, Georgia. We are one of 11 regional offices with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Our office covers Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, North Carolina, and South Carolina. Three things that we do that are important to you as the investors is that we examine firms, broker-dealers, investment advisors, we enforce securities laws, and we communicate with investors via public events such as this one today. I specifically work as a compliance examiner out of the Atlanta regional office and have enjoyed the privilege of helping protect the investing public through examining registered investment advisors and broker-dealers. Going back to your question, when it comes to ICOs, again, initial coin offerings, as the holidays near, many of you may be considering buying this for yourself, your loved ones, possibly grandchildren with potential future returns. As with any investment opportunity, you should always ask questions and demand very clear answers from the individual selling it to you and or the website selling it to you. You need to make sure you understand how the item is traded, how are the returns generated. The same rules that apply and red flags that apply to cryptocurrency related investments apply to all investments. But be wary of promoters with guaranteed returns, pressuring you to act too quickly. And as to the other panelists literally just said, if something seems too good to be true, it's probably not true. You need to question that. Also, you should be aware that there is significantly less protection to you as an investor in areas such as ICOs versus traditional securities markets, particularly because these products can often be sold on markets that are overseas, that expand beyond our borders. Your invested funds may quickly travel overseas, reducing the likelihood that we at the SEC or any other market regulator may be able to pursue the bad actors and recover your funds. You should also be wary of any celebrity endorsements that appear unbiased, but may actually be part of a paid promotion by that ICO. The SEC has recently brought charges against a number of celebrities, including Floyd Mayweather, Steven Seagal, and DJ Khaled, who were promoting ICOs without properly disclosing the amount and or compensation they were receiving for the promotion. Just because a celebrity promotes something doesn't mean it's a legitimate investment and or it's appropriate for you. I just want to throw out there really quick, the SEC's investor.gov website has additional resources available to the public. It includes a whole section devoted to ICOs, cryptocurrencies, and other digital assets.
Great information there. And we were just seeing that on the screen, investor.gov. Thank you, Ray, for answering that question. Up next, I'd like to bring Alyssa Parker of the BBB into this conversation. I think we all know right now, and we are feeling it in one way or the other, the supply chain crisis. It is very real. What is the easiest step to avoid being a victim maybe of a COVID shortage scam? And I would ask, how should maybe consumers plan around COVID shortages when doing their holiday shopping? Because this is something that most of us have never experienced before.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks so much, Caroline. So COVID shortage scams, which like you said, we're all familiar with at this point, really started at the beginning of the pandemic with a shortage of cleaning supplies. And scammers really took to that and created fake websites getting people's credit card or banking information, but never delivered those products. And we couldn't find anything in the store. That model has perpetuated. So it's just really important to be aware that they do exist. These shortages are continuing, and knowing that these scammers are taking advantage of it. They're creating fake websites, and it's really preying on the fact that, the stuff that we used to just be able to go to the store is not there anymore. But the best way to combat that is just to be aware of the fact that it's happening, and really try not to wait until the last minute to purchase things.
And don't panic buy. That's something that a lot of us have the urge to do, but absolutely not necessary. If your closet is full of toilet paper, no need to go get any more. We should just wait a little bit on that and it'll help the situation. Alyssa, while I've got you, any idea when we can expect the COVID shortages to end? Any way of knowing, guessing, hoping on that?
Yeah, so some shortages, we really actually expect them to improve soon. There are projections for return to normalcy around the second quarter of 2022. I know that seems far away because, it's next year, but we're really not that far from the new year. So I think there is light at the end of the tunnel. And unfortunately, it's just something we've never had to deal with prior to, this pandemic. We had lockdowns, the demand completely plummeted, then the lockdowns were lifted, and then demand rocketed. Supply chains just really took a massive hit. And it was, a variety of things of, the worker shortages, lack of key components or raw materials. But there is an end in sight. So if you can hold on until hopefully the second quarter of 2022, that is when we'll start to see normalcy. Everything won't be back to, what it was before the pandemic hit, but a little bit more consistent, which I think everyone can appreciate.
Yes, we are all anxiously awaiting on that. As we're looking to buy those holiday gifts, we're talking about the supply chain crisis, but we may also be looking to buy some gift cards for folks. Mike Olander, I'm going to pose this question for you. And we talked a little bit about this in our discussion today, using those gift cards for payments. What are some major flags that you see, and what does the AARP Fraud Watch Network advise when it comes to gift cards?
Well, it's a really timely question and topic because gift cards are so prevalent. I walked in the supermarket the other day, and one of the first things I see is a huge display of dozens of different types of gift cards. And that's one of the reasons why scammers like them, because they are readily available just about everywhere. They're also virtually untraceable. They're easily converted to cash or Bitcoin. And they also have the ability to move large amounts of money in small parcels. And there are a variety of different types of scams where gift cards could be used as payment. And the key thing to remember here, though, is regardless of the type of scam, if somebody is asking you to use a gift card as payment, as opposed to cash or some other type of a form of payment, that should be your immediate red flag. That's a very unusual thing for most people to encounter, but it's becoming more and more common. There are a variety of different types of scams where this can happen: Social Security scams, IRS scams, romance scams, the famous grandparent scam. Hey, grandma, it's Mike. I need money. That type of thing, as well as sweepstakes and lottery scam. And the way it simply works is, you get some type of offer saying you've won the lottery, and all you have to do is just to pay this small fee using a gift card, and give us the numbers on the back of the gift card, and you'll be entitled to get that lottery. Or they may be posing as being represented from the Social Security office and saying, there's a problem with your Social Security account, you owe back taxes, and the easiest, quickest way for you to pay us is by getting a gift card. Or a utility company. This is another thing we're hearing more about, especially as we get into the colder seasons, or as we're in the cold season in some months, where you are threatened with electric or gas shut off because you supposedly had not paid your bill. And again, they say the quickest way is to get us a gift card, which are readily available, and read us the numbers off of the back. You want to avoid that. If you go to AARP.org/gift cards, that website has got some really great resources, shows you all the red flags, can actually show you some stories, real life stories of how people have been fallen victim to this type of scam, and also some really good information about how to protect yourself and how to report in these types of things if you encounter them.
Yeah, fantastic information there. And I do want to remind folks watching online, please pose your questions if you're hearing this. If you have a question, if you came with a question, we want to hear from you, and we'll be posing some of those questions coming up. But Mike, while I have you, I do have another quick question. We know that more and more older adults are shopping online, and when we're doing so, what are some red flags there that we should be on the lookout for when determining when a site that we have landed on has a legitimate seller?
That's a great question. And first thing, a lot of the more common frauds that we're seeing are when a fraudster is imitating a large reputable retailer, a brand that you're familiar with, Walmart or Google or Apple or something like that. You really want to pay close attention. You want to make sure first off that the website is right. I used Walmart before just as an arbitrary example, but Walmart.com is pretty simple. Is it spelled correctly though? Does the site have any misspellings at all on the website that you're looking for? Because remember, a lot of times these fraudsters are not in the United States; they're in another country, and for them, English may not be their first language, and so there may be some grammatical errors that are there. If just the feel of the site, if just something looks odd, if you receive something via email and it has a link, don't click the link. The best thing you can do is say, okay, this says it's from this retailer. Let me go ahead and go on, type into a browser that web address, for that retailer and search for the item as opposed to clicking that link. Because if you click that link, it could take you to some place that is dangerous. And you're absolutely right, Caroline, when you say that these types of scams are targeted a lot of times specifically at older adults. Another interesting fact too, and just last week, AARP released a report showing that if you are, for people who have been through stressful events in their lives, they are more likely to fall for a scam than other people have. Now, if you think too about what's going on with COVID, a year and a half, almost 2 years now of isolation, a lot of people are under higher levels of stress. And that actually makes them more susceptible to falling for different types of scams. And so it's not just older people who need to be aware of these types of things, but it's people of all ages, because we're all under the stress of the environment.
Yeah, you're right about that. And we're tired, we get exhausted, and it's easy just to say, you know what, I'm not going to hover my cursor over that website and look at that URL. I'm just going to click it. It's easier. I forgot. But we certainly need to be armed constantly with that good information. Mike, thank you for sharing that. Secretary Marshall, I'd like to turn back to you if that is okay. A lot of people this time of year, we're not just purchasing for others, we're also giving back. It's charity time. We're donating during the holiday season. But just like everything else, scammers have unfortunately found a way to take advantage of that as well. So I would imagine we need to be extra careful when donating around the holidays.
That's true. Unfortunately, folks can get taken during this season of giving. Starting in November now till the end of the year, there'll be a lot of campaigns to raise money. Sometimes it's your church, sometimes it's a charity that you love to support. But it's very important that you not get spoofed by a fake charity. There are plenty of fake sound-alike charities out there. It's important to give generously if you're able, but it's just as important that your generosity goes to the people and the causes that you intend to help. One of our divisions, the Charitable Solicitation Licensing Division, regulates charitable solicitations in North Carolina. Look out for sound-alike names and spoofing on caller ID to make it look like calls are coming from a real charity. Go to the charity section of sosnc.gov to research charities that are registered with us. Instead of clicking on links in unsolicited emails and texts and social media posts, do a quick Google search and make sure you're getting the genuine charity's official site and direct your donations, just like we've just heard about going to official sites for stores that we know. You go to a website, you go find it, and then go to it directly. We also have a smart donor checklist at sosnc.gov with a handy list of suggested questions to help you figure out who's naughty and who's nice when you get calls asking for your donation. We produce an annual report with information on all licensed charities and fundraisers, as well as listings of organizations with formal exemptions from licensure, because some organizations in North Carolina are exempt, and they will usually have a letter from us telling that. The report's executive summary breaks down the percentage of donations that went to the charity's programming and how much went to those professional fundraisers or for administrative overhead. It's a great resource. If the numbers don't look good to you, then maybe you want to find another charity that does a similar activity, but is using more efficiently with your dollars. This report is a great resource for the giving public. It gives you tools to make generous and wise decisions about your charitable dollars. The truth is that not all legitimate charities are efficient with their money. So there's a difference between fake charities and then inefficient ones. The giving public has the right to carefully shop for legitimate charities that are the most efficient, that are going to do the most good with their donations. So again, it's sosnc.gov, charitable solicitations.
And I'd even say that it's important to do your research as well. You may have heard about a nonprofit or an organization that you know is doing good, but you might not know exactly where all that money is going, how much their employees are being paid, and how that money is being used. So certainly do the research, and glad to know that you have a full list of resources there on the website as well, Secretary Marshall. And I do want to point out as well, it hurts us when we're giving and that money goes to a scam, but it also hurts those nonprofits that really can use the money. So really fabulous information there, Secretary Marshall. We appreciate it. Anna, I'd like to turn back to you for a moment. During the holidays, many people are looking to earn some extra cash. Can you explain how to maybe spot and how to avoid a job scam? Lots of people are also switching jobs right now, or maybe looking to pick up an extra job as well. What do we need to know?
Certainly, Caroline. First, I want to thank Ray for reminding me that I too must give a standard disclaimer that the views I'm expressing today are my own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Federal Trade Commission or any of the 5 individual commissioners. With that aside, certainly during the holidays, we see that job scams rise. People are looking for extra money, especially this year. In the previous year during the pandemic, when people might have suffered economic losses or job losses, people are needing that extra cash to go and buy holiday gifts. So lots of times they're looking online for those jobs, and they are seeing jobs, I promise, that they can work from home and be their own bosses and make a ton of money. And once again, we've heard the advice today that if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So here are a few things to keep in mind when you're searching for a job. The first is, don't pay for the promise of a job. Only scammers are going to ask you to pay them money to get a job. And the second, and we heard this with online shopping, is do your own research. Look online for independent sources of information. Although the company's website or ad may show testimonials or reviews from satisfied employees, those may be fake. So instead, look up the name of the company or the person who's hiring you, and likely both, plus the words scam or review or complaint, to see if the company is legitimate and if the job being offered to you is legitimate. And take your time. This once again goes to that gut check. Before you accept an offer or send a potential employer your personal information, run the job offer or posting by someone you trust. And don't send money back to your new boss. Often we're hearing about potential employers or new bosses are sending people checks. They're asking you to deposit it and then buy gift cards or send money back to your future boss or to someone else. And those are telltale signs of a scam. The check may look like it's cleared in your bank account, and then you're going ahead and sending that money along because the funds look like they're available, but the check is often fake. And once the bank discovers that, the money is already gone and you're left on the hook for it. So just be wary of any jobs that sound too good to be true or asking you to pay for them, and definitely run it by a trusted friend or relative before you sign up for anything.
Got to do our research. All right, Anna, thank you so much. I'm told we have a question from someone. We're going to pull that up. This is from Nick. What are some industries or products being affected by COVID shortages and scams? Let's see, Alyssa, would you be one to be able to talk about that?
Yeah, I'll take that one on. We've really seen a lot of different industries affected by COVID shortage scams. Food, medicines, and really anything regarding electronics has gotten the brunt of that. And especially heading into the holiday season, we can expect a lot with the electronics, just because they may not be as readily available, and a lot of people want those for Christmas. So be on the lookout for those scams in particular. A lot of fake websites, a lot of fake advertisements, especially on social media sites. So you definitely want to just be aware that that is happening. And of course, do your research on reputable businesses as opposed to scams. You can find reputable businesses on BBB.org and understand if it's a legitimate business or maybe a scam. And you can also reference our BBB scam tracker. If you go to bbb.org/scam tracker, it actually brings up an interactive map and lets you know all the scams that are happening across the country, but you can actually zero in all the way down to your zip code and know what scams are happening right around you. So that's just a really great resource as well. But those are definitely the types of scams regarding COVID shortages that we can expect as we head into the holiday season.
Really great question there from Nick. We appreciate that. I'd like to pose a question now for Ray. We know, and we've heard this from each and every one of the panelists, knowledge is power. Information clearly our best defense against being a victim of any kind of fraud, but specifically a financial crime. With all the various types of investments out there, Ray, what else should the public maybe consider when looking into possible opportunities?
Yeah, so the internet is absolutely flooded with, to your point, all types of potential frauds and so-called investment programs, right? There's a common type of fraud that's consistently existed throughout good times and bad times in the markets and the economy. We call those high-yield investment programs. But whatever you want to call them, they're typically usually a scam. These are unregistered investments typically run by unregistered, unlicensed individuals, and they're often frauds. The hallmark of any high-yield scam is the promise of incredible returns at little or no risk to you, the investor. They might promise annual returns of like 30 to 40%. Some of these scams may even use the term prime bank in their program. If you're approached online to invest in any one of these, you should exercise extreme caution because, again, they are likely frauds. Social media is often used to hype these programs up. For example, in the matter of Shrestava and Kavari, the respondents allegedly used social media to promote their high-yield program website, advertising huge, lucrative, handsome, and guaranteed profits with minimal risk. Additionally, according to the Commission's order, they created a Facebook page and a YouTube video that promoted the high-yield program website and advertised supposedly daily returns of 1.5 to 2%. That's daily returns, which is extremely high, and again, not very likely at all. We all know that how much time and energy we actually put into making money we have. Especially if we're getting close to retirement, when something feels too good to be true, again, I'm repeating the same thing, probably isn't. If someone has been registered with the SEC or registered as a broker-dealer investment advisor, you can easily look them up on your own. Just go to brokercheck.finra.org. BrokerCheck is actually a free tool to research the background and experience of financial brokers, advisors, and firms. Please try to remember, just because someone doesn't have any disclosures on their BrokerCheck, though, it doesn't mean that they can't be peddling a scam. It's always a good idea to get fresh eyes on the investment and the opinion of a family or trusted friend that actually understands what these potential investments are that, again, they're peddling to you or trying to sell to you. Taking this extra time to do your own personal research can possibly protect your hard-earned money and can make all the difference in the world for yourself and your retirement.
And Secretary Marshall, can you explain how we can maybe report this type of scam here in North Carolina? Are we able to do that?
Yes, I want to ditto everything that Ray just said about the things that you need to be watching for and need to be checking. That's what I said earlier, that these people need to be registered in North Carolina and their product needs to be registered. You have an office here in North Carolina. It's not a part of Ray's office, but we do the same thing, and we work collaboratively with the Securities and Exchange Commission people on enforcement cases. But we have an investor hotline here in North Carolina. The telephone number is 1-800-688-4507. I'm going to say that again, 800-688-4507, where folks can call. They can call in and find out if this person trying to sell you an investment product is registered or if this product is registered. I know that sometimes I don't have a lot of confidence searching some large databases. So if you're in that same boat with me, you've got folks here in North Carolina that go to that same database and can interpret what it shows for you. We also encourage people to sign up for our investor newsletter. We send out one periodically. So you can register. Again, it's sosnc.gov for the Secretary of State. And then if you want to communicate directly with the Securities Division, you just shorten that up to secdiv@sosnc.gov, and that'll connect you with them. Or if you just send in a general email, we will get it transferred over to that division. So we're here to help. We're the cop on the beat. We, as I say, work collaboratively with the SEC. But you've got somebody closer to home that you can talk to right here in North Carolina. And I have enforcement officers and prosecutors for clearly this exact same crime. Sometimes folks feel like the amount I lost is not all that much. Maybe the federal government wouldn't be interested in it. Well, you can come to us and we can, and we may have several people that are in the same boat as you are. And so even if you think your amount is small, if there's 5 or 10 people like that, it gets to be a large amount. So it's important that we need to know also, and we're right here to handle those things.
And we want to raise that red flag because you may not think you've lost a lot of money, but you never know who's going to come behind you, how much money they're going to lose. So you certainly want to try to catch these people and make as many people aware as possible. Great to know that that work's being done here in North Carolina too.
Sometimes part of the scam is they start out with a small amount. Then they send you something or even pay what are these high dividends. And it's just to suck you in to invest more or suck you in to tell somebody you drink coffee with every morning back before the COVID, or you're in a church group with, and you sit around and chit chat, and folks do inevitably talk about money. And then somebody will say, well, I found something that pays pretty good. That's all part of the scam. It's called a Ponzi, when they take new investor money in to pay out an existing investor and make it seem like it's a real deal.
So we've got the Secretary of State's office on it. We've got the SEC on it as well. We do have an audience question, but before we get to that, I do want to ask you, Ray, if investors do suspect that they have been targeted, where can they go to report a potential fraudulent scheme to you at the SEC?
Yeah, so they can go to our website, www.sec.gov/TCR. That's our tip, complaint, and referral system. That we allow the public to report suspected investment fraud. Of course, again, to the Secretary's point, if you're not comfortable with computers, please feel free to give us a call here in Atlanta. I know we're not North Carolina, but we're fairly close and we cover all the Southeast. But you can reach us at 404-842-7676. Again, that's 404-842-7676. And you can just ask for any one of us and we'll be glad to help.
Great to hear that we have so many people working on our side. I think quite often in situations like this, you feel violated, you feel helpless, but this is great to hear that we have help here in our state and just around the corner. Thank you both. I'm told we have a viewer question that I would like to pose for you. Gina here says, just yesterday, my family member sent me a text string that I was saying I was having a hard time with COVID and asked him to send me money, $5,000. I did not send him this text combo. Who was this? A hack? For him or for me? Would anybody have any insight on this?
I might have a thought. I don't know that it's insight. We're seeing that folks the scammers are watching your Facebook pages, and they are looking at who's friends with you, and so, or who's family, and they're cloning like it's a message from you when it's really not. It's a message from somebody pretending to be you. So again, a healthy dose of skepticism. And I know we don't like to think that folks are lying to us all the time, but and Southerners are we're kind. We don't say much. We don't do much sometimes. We just roll with the punches. But you really need to ask those vital questions, because it's your future, it's your earnings, it's your income. It's not anybody else's, and it's your duty and your opportunity to protect them.
If I could chime in a little bit there too, Caroline, just dovetailing with what Secretary Marshall said, this is essentially the grandparent scam taken into more of a peer-to-peer context or example, right? Where you get, the grandparent gets the phone call late at night, they're woken up, they're a little groggy, a little disoriented, getting a call saying, "Hey, Grandpa, it's Mike, I'm in trouble, I need money," and then they're asking you to send them money in some sort of fashion. Being caught off guard, and again during stressful times with COVID and everything that's going on, this is a basic tactics for these types of criminals. They try to will go at certain times of the day or after big tragedy, something like that. These experts here on this panel today will all tell you there's an uptick in different scams that are taking place across the country right after some type of national emergency, whether it's a natural disaster, a big storm, or a terrorist attack, or something significant like that. And you just do need to be on guard, as the Secretary Marshall just said. You just really need to take a time out, think about what's going on, don't react immediately, especially if somebody is putting pressure tactics on you to send money, whether it's electronically or whether it's over the phone.
Great. All right. Thank you both so much. I'm one of those victims of the Facebook scam where I've been cloned and messages have gone out. So it really can happen to anyone. Anna, I have a couple questions for you that I think that this so many different people can relate to. Anna, we have all received the unwanted robocalls. Now they're turning to text messages. What can we do to stop them?
I think a lot of people these days think that one of the ways to stop robocalls is to pick up the phone and tell the people that they don't want to talk to them anymore, or to press 1 and to ask to be taken off a list. And actually, while that sounds intuitive and like what you should do, you absolutely should never pick up a phone with a robocall. So the more information, the more you allow that person to know that there's a live person on the other end, the more likely it is that they will call you. So what we always say is if you don't recognize the number, and they're spoofing, which makes numbers seem more familiar than they are, but put your loved ones or close contacts into your phone. See if you recognize the number, if it's on your cell phone, and if you don't, let it go to voicemail. Don't pick up. And if it's your home phone, the same. Let those calls go to your voicemail or to your answering machine. And if it's important, you can call the person back. We're seeing it with text messages too. We just heard about how somebody received a text message from whom they thought was a loved one. Same thing. We are hearing banks, other online shoppers, or people think that they're getting text messages from people. They're relying on you answering within that text, clicking on a link so that they can steal your personal information or request money from you. If you are getting a text from someone you think is a loved one, call them directly at the number you're familiar with. If you're getting a text message from a bank saying that, for example, you have a fraud alert, don't respond by text. Don't click on a link. Go to the back of your debit card or go online and look at the correct number to call your bank or your financial institution, and call them directly and ask if your account has been hacked, or get whatever information it is that you need to make an informed choice before you act. It's as everyone's been saying today, just step back and take a moment and figure out what it is that you need to figure out if this is legitimate or not.
Well, you just answered my second question right there. So thank you so much, Anna. I think we're almost out of time, but I do have another question for Alyssa. The supply chain is what we are all talking about right now. It is such an issue that we are facing in our country. So two-part question. What are some of the industries that are most impacted by the COVID shortage scams? And how long do you think that these COVID shortage scams are going to stick around? What can we do to protect ourselves?
Yeah, thanks so much, Caroline. So, unfortunately, a lot of industries have been affected by these COVID shortage scams. Food, medicine. I know that we all gone to the grocery store and we just haven't been able to buy ground beef or maybe chicken, depending on what trip you're going for. And especially as we go into the holiday season, expect a lot of electronics to really take the brunt of those COVID shortage scams, because people know that it's not available in stores, or scammers know it's not available in stores. They're going to take great advantage of this. So please be on the lookout for those scams, scam websites, scam advertisings that's going to come on social media platforms. Maybe you'll get text messages, emails. Just be aware of the fact that a lot of these different industries are really affected by these COVID shortage scams, especially the electronics as we head into the holiday season. And to answer the second part of your question, unfortunately, we really expect that these COVID shortage scams are going to stick around as long as the shortages do, especially because scammers are able to reap the benefits. They're able to get money from hardworking people. So, I mentioned earlier that we're expecting COVID shortages to really curtail the second quarter of 2022. We hope that as the shortages, come to an end or become a little bit more normal, or we go back to normalcy, that we'll see these COVID shortage scams end as well. But, I think, like I said previously, if scammers are successful, they're going to continue to do it. So the best way to really try to avoid these COVID shortage scams is just to educate yourself, know those red flags of a scam that everyone's been sharing today, and just make sure that, you're not falling victim. It's okay to take a break, take a step back. You don't have to panic buy or anything like that. Better safe than sorry.
All right, Alyssa, thank you so much for that. For me, this truly has been eye-opening, and I hope you at home have learned a lot today as well through this discussion, facilitated by the presenters and the AARP Fraud Watch Network. Today's Q&A was really just designed to provide both national and local information to help empower you, your family, and your friends in this fight against scams and fraud. When you do get the chance, maybe you can visit some web pages. We've been popping them up there on the screen, one of them being the AARP.org/Fraud Watch Network. Lots of really useful resources there, as well as their hotline, 1-877-908-3360. And I'd like to allow each of our panelists to give some closing remarks, some information that you may need to know. Secretary of State Marshall, can you give us some parting thoughts?
Yes, I can. This is a great season of festivities and family activities. It's time to take advantage of them. Talk through your family plans, your giving plans. Something we didn't discuss is perhaps advanced healthcare directives. That's an important thing that folks can talk around the Thanksgiving or Christmas or other holiday table. But as everybody has emphasized, slow down, take that breath, be a little bit skeptical, check behind somebody, and if it sounds too good to be true, it is. And we invite you to participate in our education seminars, because we'd rather prevent the crime than try to go solve it, because frequently we cannot get most of the money back. Sometimes we can't get any of it back because these scams, the operators just use that money to perpetrate the scam and make it look good. So the money is wasted away. So please be very careful with your investments, with your holiday giving, and have a joyous holiday season.
And arming ourselves with that proper information will allow us to do just that. Secretary Marshall, thank you. Anna Burns with the FTC, any closing comments?
The FTC received reports from consumers last year that they were harmed up to $3.3 billion by fraudulent scams. More than $246 million of that was with online shopping. So really, go and investigate when you are online shopping. Look at the tips and go to the websites you heard about today, and know that you're not alone. If you do become a victim of a scam, please do report it at reportfraud.ftc.gov.
We certainly are not alone. We have learned that today. Alyssa with the BBB, anything you would like to say? And also, can you explain how maybe we can look up a business if we're interested in doing that? And then also, again, about the scam tracker.
Yeah, absolutely. So our scam tracker is an interactive website. It brings up an interactive map. You can really go all the way down to your zip code, see the scams that are happening in your area. You get a description of the scam, how much money was lost. And we're actually able to take information from that and data on the back end. And we're able to tell that older adults are actually the most targeted group, age demographic for scams, but millennials are actually lose the most money. So, just being prepared for scams is something that anybody in any age group needs to be aware of and make sure that they're protecting themselves from them. And as far as looking up trustworthy businesses, a way to avoid scams is to be proactive and make sure that you are working with a reputable company. And you can do so and find those reputable companies at BBB.org. It's a free website. It brings up business profiles on over 75,000 businesses just from our service area alone, but over 5 million across the country and into Canada and Mexico. And it's just a really great one-stop shop to, look up a company's complaints, their letter grade, just to see how they've had past consumer interactions. So you make sure that you want to do your research ahead of time to find that trustworthy company.
I've used it myself. It's a great resource. Ray Palacio with the SEC. Anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, I just want to again reiterate during this holiday time, if you're thinking about investing for yourself, for your loved ones, grandchildren, your children, to always question and again, just be skeptical before you throw your money at something. Again, you could always call us directly at 404-842-7676. Again, we do cover North Carolina as well as everywhere in the Southeast, except for Florida. But you could also go to sec.gov/TCR if you're wanting a place to potentially report harm doing or harm that you feel that somebody's done you wrong with an investment opportunity.
All right, thank you, Ray. And Michael, how can we get fraud alerts and sign up for more information?
Best place is to go to aarp.org/fraud, and that will take you to all of our information. Of course, AARP is not just limited to North Carolina, but we are nationwide. And as so many frauds are targeted at older adults, we have a tremendous amount of resources that are there. I also want to highlight November. We're into November now and approaching Veterans Day. For AARP, it is Veterans Appreciation Month. And one of our ways of serving those who have served is by highlighting what veterans mean to America, and also by sharing valuable information related specifically to veterans, charity scams, and other types of things, unfortunately, that are targeted at those who have served our country. And so, again, going to aarp.org/fraud will allow you to sign up for our alerts and learn other types of information like this.
All right. Thank you so much to all of our panelists for being here, for all of you at home for joining us today. I don't know about you, but this has been enlightening. It's been an eye-opening conversation. And again, it's just incredibly important. And I do want to say that now that you have learned about the scams impacting our communities right here in North Carolina, we want you to get out there, share the information with your family and your friends, have the conversation over the holidays. And the biggest thing, do not fall victim. Again, I'm Caroline Blair. You can watch me every weekday in the mornings on Spectrum News 1 from 5 to noon. We're on 24/7 though. You can even watch us on the app if you have Spectrum Internet. And we just appreciate you joining us. You've heard from all these experts, incredible resources online and by telephone. Reach out if you ever have any questions or concerns. And the biggest thing we all can do is arm ourselves with knowledge and report those scams. Thank you again for being with us. And happy holidays.